obviously this is not the best way to view this. I hope you guys can find it. It's really inspirational. It's very conceptual. It's one of the best year in reviews I've ever seen. And the editor was Chloe Coleman at the Washington Post. And if you ever get the chance, if she's ever speaking anywhere or whatever, this woman is just fantastic. She's young and she's just brilliant. And she's married to Louis Palou, who's doing really great political work right now. So if you ever see her in any online anything, listen in. And she's really a forward thinker on all this stuff. So
Yeah, right now everybody's putting their best of work out there. The wire services, the newspapers of note, especially folks like the LA Times, the Washington Post, New York Times. Um, the wire services such as the AP have an amazing year-end review up and running. So I'd highly recommend seeking that out. And maybe actually we'll probably try to find those links to the online side of all that and post them into the Facebook page so y'all can take a look. It's worth it. And we are going to do that as well because we have work that if you go to the Boyd Station site and look at the America Reimagined project, the top gallery that is on that site, the big gallery, it's pretty much everything that we basically pulled out from submissions throughout the last 9 months. It's not everything. It's just the things that just popped up and made the galleries at that point. That's a pretty good representation of the year. But we're actively going back in right now. We had a meeting just a couple days ago, and we're going back through, and we're re-editing in a way to hit 3 different points of the last few months: politics, social justice, and the pandemic. Pretty much the tenets of what this program's built on, this project. And if you have work in the past, caption it up, send it in. It's never too late. It doesn't have to be essays. It doesn't have to be, anything in depth. But if you have things that, go through your work at the end of the year, if you're entering contests and things like that, caption it, submit it. It gets into the archive. And as you see, we have 2 portals for people to come and look at this stuff. And it's going out on the American Reportage site where they're hosting this for us, as well as the Boyd Station site. We have it up there as well. And people are looking at it and people are seeing it. So it's there. And the more essays you have, the more work that you put up there, stuff that you've been working on throughout the year, who knows where it's going to be seen. And in the next month, the big hit for us will be National Press Photographers magazine is going to do a story on this project, and that will go out. Who knows if it's on the cover, who knows how big it's going to be as of a spread on the online edition, but once that hits, that's going to be a big eye opener for a lot of editors who will be coming to the site and looking at your work. So you got about a month to go back through your files and really dig and really throw some essays together and really, think about things. I don't want to talk too long, but I just looked over the picture story class at Western Kentucky, their final projects a couple days ago, and great work. None of them are submitting any work to this project. And I'm like, wow, a couple of these stories, these essays, if they were up on the site, it's a portal for people to see it. And I mean, especially as photographers in college, what a great way to have work seen and your name pushed out there a little bit further. So I would highly recommend gathering up your work and getting it out there. I know Stephen would probably concur on this as well.
It really looks terrific. I mean, when you go back and see what they pulled for our year in review, it's absolutely amazing. And it's definitely worth going through everything again. I mean, contests are really important. They can be problematic, but the contest is, really can get your work out there. Win or lose, it's important to enter a contest because you want to put your ideas and challenge the industry. You're not just there to get an award. You're there to express an idea and to challenge, the typical way people are doing things. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. And to go through everything you've done, you'll see the germ of an idea you might explore next year, or you'll find something that really aged well already. And you'll find mistakes and things you wish you'd done differently. It's just a really good creative mental exercise. So by all means, and enter the contest, and don't worry about winning. Just get it out there and let people know what you're doing, which is what this project's doing, is we're really getting the chance to showcase the work you're doing. So, and again, as we plead every week, if you've got that New Year's party from the beginning of the year, and those pictures that show what a wonderful, thank God 2019 is over. Remember, we all felt that. And here we are. So you want to show those first 3 months. And that's one thing I think if Molly pops in, she'll back me up on that. We're still looking for some of that work. So, when you were free to go out and make pictures, and, a high school basketball game with where the bleachers are all filled suddenly means something different now. They're not cardboard cutouts, they're real people. So anything like that takes on more value. So because we just want to hit everybody that all of a sudden there's this hard break where the world changed. So if you can think of ways to illustrate that and make that show that transition, by all means. So.
And going forward too, think about just steps as people are taking to go, to the next phase of all this. And Christmas, I mean, document the heck out of Christmas. Document the heck out of people. Are they out getting Christmas trees? Are they not out getting Christmas trees? There's some pretty telling work we're going to see in a little bit of just how Santa is coping and doing things. And we kind of tried to push the button a little bit to get you guys a little motivation to get out there and shoot some Santa stuff. And we know how tough it is. But there's actually a really nice essay about ready to be seen that will really show you how different this year is compared to the last 50 years in our lives. That's important. Christmas, New Year's, and it doesn't have to be you going out to that party at, the Ritz-Carlton or something in your town. It's just documenting what you see around you or in your town, or that little party that you always go to. It's now just 2 people, or maybe it is a big party out in the streets of, Athens, Ohio. But it's important to show this stuff and get it.
Look, if every one of you went out the day after or 2 days after Christmas or Boxing Day or whatever you're celebrating, and went out to the cul-de-sac on garbage pickup day, before it gets picked up, the empty boxes, everything, imagine, go out like an urban archaeologist and say, this is what was going on inside what they pulled out of that domain there. And just the detritus will really speak to how people are living behind closed doors. Is it a bunch of games? Is it a bunch of liquor bottles? It's whatever. So those heaps of garbage can actually, really convey some, another side of 2020 that we don't really see. So imagine if we had a really interesting, just a photo essay of that, 12 pictures that showed this cul-de-sac, this pile of garbage at this nice big McMansion, or outside this apartment building or something like that. So that would be a really interesting essay. It's one I've always swore I was going to do, but then it was always too cold and I was too lazy. But if everybody went out there to the next cul-de-sac over, or their neighbors, whatever, we might be able to pull a really interesting little essay at the end of the year. Okay.
We had this discussion in our small group that single pictures are amazing and those features are amazing. But for you as photographers, if you want to showcase your work, if you want to be seen, if you want to have this project really help you along and help your course going forward, find those themes, find those essays that Stephen was just talking about. Margot's cling wrap essay is a perfect example. It's find something that is your vision, is your idea, is your means of going out there and illustrating and documenting what's going on in our world. It doesn't have to be so stylistic, but come up with an essay, come up with a theme that that is yours. You own it, and when someone runs across it, they're gonna, wow, this is amazing, and it's going to be visible on this site. So well, there's a lot that could be done. I know you guys, a lot of you have work and school and things like that. But right now, I know I was talking to a lot of students in the last week. Their classes are over, finals are over. You're on break. So take advantage of this in a way of just pull one assignment out of the hat and go after it and shoot it. And we'll do the work. We'll get it up there for you, and it'll be seen. So any questions, anything lingering before we get going tonight? Jump in, raise your hand, and go off go ahead. Is that Margot over there?
So just to clarify, it's not too late to send beginning of the year stuff. Okay,
Send it.
got it. I think I have some things that I may have sent them, may not. I don't remember. So I'll send them again. Hopefully they're helpful.
It's absolutely helpful and wanted. And I think you'll probably be going through, it'll be interesting looking at the work tonight. So I breezed through it, and some of it's submitted and some of it's not. And get it submitted, get the captions on it, get it in. I mean, even if it's never used in a way that's an essay or you don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not going to be visible in the archive. So all this will become visible if it's properly captioned, and editors will look for this and find it. So think of it, I mean, in a roundabout way, this is a bit of a photo agency. Editors are going to roll through this entire site and just say, man, I'm looking for a picture showing someone, having trouble in their home, dealing with this. And they're like, oh, there's a picture right there. Huh, no one's ever used that before. I'm going for that one. Boom. And yeah, I can't stress how cool this could be to have this collection up and running for people to come and see.
I will make the argument, and I will argue for anybody who comes up with a picture that is even from November, because the thing is, if you could show then and now, and you may have something from that, and I think that's the perfect way. And I would help anybody argue with anybody on in the team that could be relevant as well. So I don't think that there's anything special about December 31st.
And there's a lot of new people popping up here and there as people join into this fun and the game here. And people are coming in, maybe not understanding what can be done with your images. So again, everything's fair game from you shot way back in, late 2019 to all through 2020. Get that stuff in. Just be sure to go back and check the criteria just for captions, the sizes and things like that. Really, your images out of the camera size are fine. It doesn't matter how big or small. Don't have them too small, but just the caption is the important thing. Follow that template and follow that caption information, dialogue there on the sign up page, and you'll all be good. Anybody else? Questions? We're good? Well, this is good. So we're going to jump right in. I think we're going to start doing this a lot. So the good thing about having, the Charlies, the Michaels, the Mollys, even Kathleen, when she's working really hard. Kathleen Curtis is working on an edit right now for the paper, and then Stephen, and we'll have some other people popping in over the next course over the next few months. Is we're starting to bring this around where we've got enough work that's coming in that you all are producing that we can actually sit here and use the space as what it's meant to be used for, to edit, to mentor, to talk things out, to really converse about photography and documentary photography. So I hope you guys are cool with that, because that's the direction we're going to really start to go. And when you all have a really good essay or really good story, such as the final one we're going to see tonight is a really good essay, and we're going to have a little bit more dialogue with that photographer and talking about it. And I think that'll be great. And I hope you all will keep producing and getting work in so we can do this. It's educational for all of us as a whole. So without further ado, Michael, Molly, Stephen, anything else to pick up before we jump into looking at the work? Anything comes to mind? Charlie? Yeah, I think that's all I had to say too. We can wrap up at the end if there's any questions as well. But let me share my screen here. All right. Make sure I know what I'm doing here. Sorry, it's always cumbersome going from sharing the screen from the transition. All right, how are we doing? Do you guys see me?
Yep, see the screen.
All right, I'm partly there then. All right, how's that? So first up tonight, this is an amazing essay. So no one's seen this work except me. So we're going to run through these images, and as we look at everything tonight, we're going to run through them quickly on the first go round, so we all get a look, and then we're going to come backwards and look at them again slowly and have people chat about them. The editors that are sitting here, and if you guys want to chime in as well, we can talk about them. But we're just going to run through each person's group kind of quickly and chat about them, and then go from there as much as we can. So this is Shafkat, and talk about a pretty decent follow along of a Santa. This is pretty nice.
This is great.
Well, not only is it great, it's someone spent some time. Someone spent the effort, and that image right there I saw, and I'm like, there it is. That is 2020 Christmas. That is, wow. And then that nice little moment pops up. When you talk about a subtle image, this is a subtle image. That Santa just popping up. You have to look around like, oh, there's Santa. And just working it. Not just, making your typical pictures, just working it. That one stood out in my mind too. But then this is where I applaud Shafkat. He didn't just stop. So it wasn't just the guy at the deserted parking lot or the drive-through. Christmas, he was going home, and the captions going along with this are pretty good, pretty telling, pretty informative. There's a nice essay going on here, and from reading his captions on this one, he's doing the ho 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 for hours and hours and hours, and he's losing his voice, and he has to gargle at night. That's a pretty strong image. And he's diabetic, and he misses his diabetic shots. He has to double up. Nice framing. Oh, it's just it's an amazing little picture. But access is key on this. It's not just a drive-by. Look at the Elvis back there. You can just tell that the man has some theater in him, some showman. And then the family. And very devout, very. But every image, it's not just an image showing a guy, it's showing the guy's personality, it's showing his emotion, it's showing his face. The one with the shot going in, you didn't need to see the face, you just saw his grimace in his mouth, and the framing was perfect. Even this image, that one eye, pretty nice. I don't know if is Shafkat on tonight?
I'm here, Jack.
So quickly, we don't. Your story here, is that pretty much the synopsis that I've pretty much laid out, or is there anything else you want to offer there?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the edit to you and the editors, because I think I sent you like 34 images.
Yeah, I pulled it down.
I pulled it down. Time to do the edit. So this story is still ongoing. So I'm gonna spend some more time this weekend. He has something on the 24th, which I'm supposed to document, and then I leave for DC on the 25th night. So I think 24th will be the last day that I'm gonna shadow him. But yeah, I met him during this show that has been happening in the island. And then the first day I went, and then he started talking to me, and I started talking to him. And then he's like, I'll be done if you document me. And then I was like, what do you do? What else do you do during this, except you being a Santa? And he's like, I run a foster care. I'm a drummer at 2 local churches. I'm like, oh, that's a story right there.
Yep.
So it was a Friday, and then I said, okay, how about I meet you on Sunday? And then he's like, yeah, come at my place at 8 o'clock on Sunday. Then I went at 7 o'clock on that same day. And then that's where the story started. And I have never met someone who is so chill as him. He was like, you can just spend the entire night at my place. I would not mind at all. He is so local and so Hawaiian. It's like I slept at his place one night, just to get that shot of what he does after hours. After he is done with being a Santa. So it's like it's what he just said. Is the access that you need. In Eddie Adams' workshop, I met John Moore. And one thing I'm always jealous about John Moore, and we all are, is the access, what he gets. So he has been an inspiration to me since I was in 8th grade. So I try to do the same thing, get as much as access that I can.
So it sounds like you're going to continue on with this, and
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
anybody out there, what should Shifkat be looking at to fill in the gaps here as he pushes out forward more with this story?
It's such a great story, Shafkat.
you,
I love your framing and the how aware you are of the different colors. Like this image with the lights in the foreground is so great. You might want to look to see if there's some interesting details. That's the only thing that I sort of see that's a little bit missing, is maybe there's something within his house, some tableaus that might also say more about his personality. But you've done such a wonderful job capturing his job and getting into his house and showing his health issues.
There was one photo with a collage that he was referring to. It's not in the edit right now. That's like, I felt that was one of the details.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at the whole.
Does he live alone?
No, he has wife. He lives with daughter and his wife and his grandchildren.
Okay.
That's his daughter on the right.
Yeah, that's a little. First off, it's an incredible set of pictures. Congratulations. And you can't go wrong if you're a fan of John Moore. That guy is a brilliant shooter. He's just, not only is he a great shooter, he's like a foot taller than me. So I got my beef with him, but he's fantastic. But the only thing, so I think you need to kind of, because I wasn't sure whether he's living with family or not. You had the one picture with the little kids with them. Maybe that needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. Maybe you have that picture, or maybe again in the captions it'll play it out. But that could be, again, the detail shot Molly's talking about. Maybe all the a wall of photographs or something. I don't know what that is. The only other thing is it's always that sense of place. Again, I mean, I don't know if there's a way that says it more that it's Hawaii and not the North Pole, or Hawaii and not Michigan. So remember, I'm just a tourist here. So the reader, is there a picture that says Hawaii? And I don't know what that is, just because that's sort of ironic. Presumably one of the warmest places. But so a little more sense of place is all that says Hawaii. I don't know if it's possible, but whatever. But again, you've got great moments. You've really set up this isolation and this distance. And there's a couple of pictures I might crop a little bit just to emphasize it. But man, you've just really done a wonderful job here. So
my question about this is that this story would have been the same at any day, at any time, at any year, likely. He would have had his affliction. He's diabetic. He has his commitment. But what sets it apart now is that I think that scene setter where he's just sitting there waiting, and you could ask him, and maybe you have asked him, what was that scene like if he has played this role in that same place in years before? Would that lot where he's sitting on the rooftop, would that have been empty, or is that a new place that he's in simply because of COVID? Is this a new venue for him to be in?
That's a new place.
This is a new place.
Yeah, so his normal gig would have been just sitting in the mall,
Okay.
but now
Is the mall open?
mall is open, everything's open, but he didn't get any
What's-
gig for the mall.
What's there now? That would be a nice frame of reference.
Yeah, I would like to follow up with Pete. Actually, I was following a Santa too. So he told me that 80 to 90% of his shows got canceled this year. So how did this pandemic affect him being Santa, or how usually his years go by doing a lot of gigs? Now he's like doing less number of events. So if in any way, if you could show that, that would be great.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I come in on this too, is because everything has to be framed in the year of COVID, right? I mean, I'm not seeing any masks. I'm seeing some social distancing, but I'm not seeing any masks or barriers, or, I mean, does he disinfect after he comes in or out? Those kinds of things.
Okay. Sure.
That's a good
So
point.
I'm going to ask you, what do you think you need for this?
Definitely the stuff that he has been missing. I feel I missed that moment because I had a assignment for the SF Chronicle that day. So he told me that he's gonna do something in the mall, and I
Okay.
couldn't go that day. So I'm gonna ask him if he's gonna do it again. But for sure, on the 24th, he has something, some sort of gift giving something, any like event. So I'm guessing that will be something similar.
Right. And I think Galen asked a question on the chat side. Does he have a Christmas tree? Do they keep Christmas at their
Yeah,
home?
he I think he just put one in his house. I saw that in
Okay.
last
There you
day. Yeah, he has one. Sorry, Galen, I kind of missed your question.
No, this is great. I think going forward, I think you're going to have a great aspect with the next, if you get him the next time at a different situation.
Yeah,
That's not the same situation. It's always better to have, another opportunity with him, but in a different setting, which just only ups your odds for even more amazing images. So that's access and time spent. Do what you can and then go for it, because you've got a great start right here.
And if they have a photographer at the mall that's doing the Santa pictures, is there a display board from last year or a couple of years ago that shows samples, and you see a whole, 12 pictures of Santa sitting there with kids on his lap? That in itself might make an interesting detail shot. Is it literal? Yes, but to show that at one time you could actually put a kid on your lap, and then all of a sudden you contrast it with some talking through a sheet of plexiglass or something like that. Now, it's literal, but I think it could be a little tiny of an aspect that ages well. So
This is so real. This is just so real. It's
Yeah,
so I wish I'd found that.
So like I was saying before, this is a great example of just, starting out as a drive-by. It really is. It started out as, photograph a Santa doing something different. He doesn't have the mall. He's out in a parking lot. COVID, got it, drive-by. But then that next step and getting to know the guy, getting the access, and just being in the place to be able to make pictures. And this is it. This is great. Wow.
Yeah, great job.
Really nice.
Really, really nice job.
Just keep going with it. Don't let it go, because you've got something here that
yeah, there is something. I always feel like that, and this guy has a story. That's what I'm feeling. So we haven't had the long chat yet. That's why I couldn't write anything down, or I have to like describe something on the captions as well. So I kind of need to like dial it down.
So I was briefly looking at your captions, and you'll fill them out, but especially down here, this caption is what really helped me. It's just enough for you to have an idea of what to go back in and beef up, but just keep doing that and get a quote from the guy saying,
Yeah,
what do you like?
absolutely.
And,
That's my plan. Get a quote.
Yep, great job. All right, we'll move on.
How does he, can I just ask one last question? How does he interact with with people. Is that the extent of it?
Like
Is there-
during the show,
Yeah.
that's it. So him on by the car by that barricade over there, and he just yells. That's it.
The other thing I might suggest is maybe you concentrate on some of the people's reactions to him.
Oh, that's a good point. Shoot a little bit tighter, shoot a little bit longer past him.
Like in this shot right here.
Mhm.
I mean, that window with the Jack, if you can back up, where you know, you've got somebody photographing them, you've got kids smiling, you've got somebody in a mask, like right in there.
Yeah, you know, go ahead and get tight on them, but maybe show a little bit of him in the foreground, you know, with the 7200 or something.
I don't know if you need to show him. You've shown him already, right?
Yeah, try it both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, be a really great
Yeah.
reaction shot.
Good point.
Charlie, you're spot on. That if you really start looking at that, and that'll happen again if he's back in that same situation. That is a really interesting tableau there of those, all the people and their reactions, their smiles, the mask, the iPhone, you know, the whole thing. Yeah, you're right about that. Charlie's got it nailed down there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. All right, great job. Great job. So it looks like this is Alex, right? Oh no, this is Margaret. Is this Margaret? This is Margaret.
Yeah, this is mine.
So what are we going to be looking at briefly here?
Yeah, sorry, I'll spare you reading all of that text. This is a project I've been actually photographing for years, but it kind of took a big turn in 2020. So this is my grandparents and my Aunt Cindy. She was never formally diagnosed with an intellectual disability, but has lived with my grandparents forever. They're 85 now. She lived with them for her whole life because she can't take care of herself. And in 2020, around February, she started feeling sick and couldn't go to work anymore. And it was right before the shutdown of everything. So they couldn't get doctor's appointments or anything like that. And she ended up about 3 or 4 months later being diagnosed with metastatic colon cancer, and passed away in August because it wasn't curable. So I had been, you know, for years documenting them, but this change among all of 2020 and the pandemic in general was quite a turn. So when we were asked to submit our work from 2020, this is one I'd been sitting on for a really long time, and would just, you know, like feedback on. It's probably not finished, but so I have a lot of early 2020 versus around summer 2020, and then also a little bit of 2019, just for compare and contrast about how life looks different this year.
Already just going at this
Whoa.
in a way that's showing it before and now is just a remarkable storytelling technique that, I mean, this is great. I mean, but that shows me or shows an editor. I mean, it's an idea of showing this work in a different way than normal, and you have it. I mean, especially there's a couple heart-wrenching images. I mean, oh man. I mean, you can almost read this. You can almost read the words without reading the words. I mean, you're telling a story in these pictures that it translates once you know the story and the concept that you're using in the diptychs.
Mm-hmm. That was one of my worries. I had it without any text originally, and I was like, no one understands what's going on.
Yeah, Margot, I really like your use of the diptychs. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, setting the story up, and then when you get to, I mean, this image there that's the point where I think the viewer really comes to terms with how you're presenting the work here. It's pretty nice.
So that's a 1 year span right there. August 1st of 2019 on the left, August the 8th of 2020. And what's interesting too is that while COVID was happening, the natural progression of life went on too. Kind of unencumbered by COVID, but definitely impacted when they couldn't get to the doctors and all those kinds of things early on. This is really strong.
Were you thinking of this image when you shot it with the image from 2019 in the
Yeah.
frame?
The first time I shot it, I just shot it. It was dinner time. But then the second time, this is just how I really shouldn't have even been at their house, but I was going there every day to help with her. And I this is just the way I walk into their house. I grew up next door to them. So, this is my picture of my grandparents' house from like my whole life. So I had been going back through a bunch of, the work. I've been shooting this since 2015. So a lot of stuff I don't have anything older than 2019 in this set, but have been working on editing this for years. And I found, something that was missing was this comparison, this, being able to visualize the change. And that's how I ended up. This one wasn't intentional. There's quite a few that weren't intentional, but that one was, because I felt like I needed to see that drastic difference.
I don't know if I
And it
would
was
have
an
thought of that.
accident that they were exactly a year apart, but that happened quite a bit when I was putting this together.
Wow.
That picture on the left, can you back up one, Jack? That picture on the left, it's so amazing because they're wearing the same style jacket, somebody like that one and somebody like the gray one. And you see that togetherness and then the separation of not having her buddy with her, her life, her daughter, her lifelong companion, not there. Just that is such a, wow, such a strong picture.
Well, that picture, and that picture, man, those three
Yeah.
pictures right there just tell me that entire story. And from there.
So when
what that tells me, Margot, is that they feel real comfortable with you around them. I mean, you talk about fly on the wall. I mean, these are just beautiful moments where I don't feel you in here. I feel them. And it's really gut wrenching.
One of my
I'd love for Maggie Stieber to see these pictures.
Yeah.
Because what her project she did with her mother and that whole the way that she passed over time, she's the kind of person that could help latch onto this and make sure some other people might see this story. It's just really strong.
I mean, it's so brilliant and so powerful, and it's been so respectively, photographed, and so, and with the 300 words, just interview your grandparents and get them to talk about her. It's so brilliant. It really is. I mean, it's just brilliant. So congratulations.
Oh, look at the scene in that last picture. This is amazing. You didn't go for the empty. There's the sunset. There's that same sun that's cutting in that window a year before, and just a reflection now. Wow, really strong.
Yeah.
Smart shooting.
This image right here, where is it? That there's the one mask photo that's so subtle, but it's there, and that makes it timeless. You now know when this is, even without the caption, you'll know when this was, and that just puts the anchor on this story. Subtle.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would recommend removing? Any of the single images or diptych or changing? I mean, I've got 5 years worth of pictures. So I have options.
So without seeing it, I'll let the other people jump in on this one too, but personally, without seeing everything, yeah, there is opportunity to change and do things. Absolutely, I'm sure. It's just a matter of who's looking at it. But me personally, looking at the way you've edited it right now is fabulous. It's great. But yeah, I'm sure there's some options to go through with some eyes on it.
Okay.
I mean, if you were looking at this as an edit that was going to be published tomorrow, and the deadline was in 2 hours, this is a win right here.
That means a lot because I'm not usually a very good editor.
Yeah.
It's maybe because you really know this. You really know this story. Too, you've lived this story, so it's not like you need it. You don't need to get a lot of clarification from someone else. You know where you're at here on this, in my mind.
And again, this brings up the subject of being, you know, open to photographing the people that we know and the people that we are, you know, loved ones and things like that. There seems to be a lot of pushback from different places, different newspapers and organizations about, you know, photographing your families and things that sometimes don't make the cut. But this story, I don't think it would ever have been told with anyone else. And because of your commitment to this for the number of years, this is an important story that's just been documented and done well that would never have been done.
This story has a potential to hit a market out there too, that because this is a problem that's growing. It's not a problem. This is a situation that is growing where a lot of times the lifespan of somebody 25 or 30 years ago may not have been as long as it is now through better care. And that's going to speak to actually to everybody here, to the daughter and also to the parents. And aging parents with aging children, you know, like I'm sure that they worried every day, what would happen if something happened to us? What, you know, where would she be? Where would she go? And I think that this story has lots of ways to come at it, and lots of at the end of the day here, you know, you're trying to make a living. It has marketability in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is. Yeah, this is really an important subject. This particular diptych is just blows my mind. It's because you see the change in the position of the two chairs, you know, and obviously one chair becomes a wheelchair, and suddenly, you know, the way that all of a sudden the chair shifts in, it's just like, it's just brilliant. It's so subtle and it says so much. But, you know, getting it, you know, and, you know, interview your grandparents, like I say, and pull out an essay and try, and this thing ought to be published somewhere. It's really an important story. You did a terrific job. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
One of the things I've been kind of worried about with this is she can't speak. My Aunt Cindy couldn't speak, so I could never, you know, through other forms of communication, I very much had consent to photograph her. And I know you don't necessarily need it, but just for ethical reasons, I would like it. But as she got sicker, you know, there was no way of really knowing like that she would want this scene, which is why I've just been sitting on it. No one's really seen it except till today. People have seen like, you know, snippets of everything, but I'm kind of trying to navigate that, like how, you know, I have to talk to my grandparents. That's the only answer I think that I could come to, you know, how to feel about actually publishing this. Because I feel, you know, this working through this is also helpful for me, working through seeing them in this situation. So, you know, there's like a personal side, and for me, I would love to see it published. And then there's their side that, you know, I have to feel okay before I go out. And
Absolutely. No, it's true. we're not out, we're not out there to victimize victims. Now that comes from another story I'll tell you some other time, but you're right. Be respectful of the people we're dealing with. I mean, they're human, but they have something to say that we could probably we're all going to deal with end of life issues, and we all deal with, these kind of dynamics at some point. We can learn something from what they have to say. Maybe just when they're looking through the pictures, you record them or take down what they say and their response to it. And that could start leading to a dialogue to where, so you might be giving them a chance to say something they need to say or want to say, or, because I certainly would love to hear them. It's really, this is a really smart, intelligent essay, and it's worth pursuing.
Thank you.
Same thing with Akash, I think. So or with Shafkat, I'm sorry, with Shafkat's story, it's something that you're just not running in and running away. It's a lot of thought. I mean, you have years of thought in this, but you keep looking at different avenues and different ways of thinking, and not doubting yourself, but thinking about it and say, what can I do to tell this story? And I keep going back to that picture of you framing it in the hallway with the table. And again, something I probably wouldn't even have thought of. And you're thinking of that, and you're following through with the style of telling your story in this way. And I challenge everyone to do that. I mean, even on the smallest of assignment of time-wise, look at it as an open book. And it's like, I don't have to go in this and shoot it the same way every time. And try something different. Get out of your zone. It may work, it may not, but you're still going to make images, and you can find singles out of this and tell the story in a way that way very easily. But this is very sophisticated and very nice.
Thank you.
I was going to say,
everybody, this is Jeff Swinson. I wanted to introduce
Jeff Swinson.
I'm going to stop my share.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, how are you? I really love those images, and there were a whole bunch of questions that you had about how you want to see this and how your aunt wanted to see it and how your grandparents might see it. And when I look at these pictures, there's a real timelessness to them, and I'm thinking like what this will be like in 20 years, what these pictures will mean in 20 years. And I would love if you recorded the voices of your grandparents and you asked them these questions that mean so much to you about whether how your aunt would have liked these pictures, what she would have thought of them. And then talk to them about what it was like to bring her up and have it be recorded to go along with those pictures. I really think that there's probably some timeless wisdom that your grandparents could put down and record to go with those photos. I know we're photographers, but I just would love to, it's those type of situations when the greatest, most intimate questions of life come up, and you should, as a photographer, keep looking at those very intimate moments in life and get them from the people around you. So, love that project and keep loving it. And, you'll keep shooting it as it goes. It's just life. And that's why we do what we do. So I love them.
Thank you. I have recorded bits and pieces of them, but not this year. So I'll get back on that.
One of the things I was just thinking about, I was just working on a big project, and I was realizing that the person that I was working with was so good at asking questions, and how really wonderful that is as a journalist to be able to figure out what are the really good questions and what people feel comfortable telling you, and how you can present yourself. So you can never go wrong by, asking a question. People can always tell you no. And if that's the worst that can happen, ask for forgiveness or something. But it's a beautiful project, and I hope that your grandchildren will look at it someday.
Thank you.
Sure.
The words underneath the diptychs are great, but what Jeff brought up, if you did this in a presentation wise where the words are written there, of course, as your captions, but if you had the words spoken and over those diptychs, that's really strong. I mean, really impactful and moving. And that's, you got to
Like
look at
that.
your viewer. I mean, viewers, we all look through that really quickly and we were reading the captions, but were we reading the captions? We're looking at the photographs. And so you have such strong work at that point, you're looking at the image. And if you can look at that image and in your ears, you hear the voices telling you that story, you don't have to fluctuate between the image and the words. That's just a nice little storytelling technique.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Wow, great. Thanks, Jeff. Glad to see you. I didn't see you pop in. It's awesome. Let me share my screen again. All right, am I back? Is this Alex's work?
Yes, it's mine.
Now, where were you this summer? And tell me a little bit about your year.
Yeah, so at the beginning, we obviously all got sent home, and I documented a little bit of my family, which I think there's like an image or two in here. And then this summer, in fall, I was at the Sacramento Bee in Sacramento, California, doing an internship, and that ended up being for like 6 months. I extended it through fall, and now I'm back at home until I head to Michigan. So all
What's going on in
exciting.
Michigan? Are you work? Did you get the?
Yeah, at the Ann Arbor News. I guess I haven't really like put that on any of my social media yet, but yes, I will be with the Ann Arbor News for the next 6 months.
So what are you doing right now to document during the holidays? Are you doing anything?
Yeah, mostly just family stuff. Yeah, I might try and do part of a story I've been working on for a couple of years, but yeah, this is just my like 2020 images, kind of a wrap up.
So are you getting ready for contests? Is this what you're going through to get a little help with what pops up and what you think would be good to enter, or just to wrap up?
Yeah, a little bit on contest. Some of this stuff was stuff I submitted for Hearst, and some of them are just like other outtakes that I was curious on, like what you guys thought about. These are actually from a essay that I need to submit to America Reimagined that I haven't, about a family that was dealing with like online learning and stuff. Yeah, I haven't put that up there yet. I need to do that. I wanted some feedback on that as well. I guess I probably could have.
So again, we'll put this out there. Submit it as more work than you think is possible or you need. Submit it, and then start talking to people like Molly or Charlie or Steven or anyone. And we'll get that going. But once it's in the system, we can really look at it and see what you have. And just like Shafkat sent the Santa stuff in, he had like 34 or 35 images, and those are in. They'll be in, and we can use those as we see fit. But we can also work in a big edit down to a smaller edit, and sort of have a lot of talking back and forth regarding pictures.
Cool.
So submit. The nice thing about all this is it's a pretty solid year, that if it's a portfolio as work, especially for applying for internships like you already have and things, people are going to see this as, you're not sitting around and waiting for something to be given to you. You're out doing it. You're hustling.
Could I ask, when were the fires? Was it in the summer?
Yeah, they were. So some of them were in September. This one specifically was in October. Yeah, beginning of October.
That's a nice addition to Boyd Station. We need this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is great.
That one overall, then the one of the car with the X on it. I mean, my God, that's a spectacular picture.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was, I think, in September.
What fair is that? Is that the Sacramento Fair? The which one is it? It's not the state.
This was
park.
actually a farm. It was yeah, they did poultry and then like some different kinds of nuts. They grew like almonds and something else.
Oh, yeah.
In the Chico area. But they were raising these pigs for slaughter, I guess, but they were cute.
Maybe for truffle looking for truffles. Well, the nice thing is that you have this collection, and if I went through it, I'm going through and I saw like 7 images that just jumped at me, and I think this one immediately, the framing, the light, the use of the the extreme backlight, it just resonates. It hits you over the head. It's like I want to stop and I want to look, and I think a lot of that has to do with the emotion. It's like the kid isn't just standing there. He's excited. He's doing something, and you've got that moment. 2 seconds later, probably not the same picture. And that's what makes this picture, the composition, the light, but that moment and the framing, that is just so nice.
Thank you.
Was this from that learning, alternative learning?
Yeah, essentially they were
That's what it's
all
from.
online.
It's like the anti-Rockwell.
Yeah, you go into most people's houses and they're like, oh, you can't photograph, it's too messy. I have to clean things up. This shows an American family today. This is a great, look at the fast food or the coffee down there. I mean,
All right, the tablet on the floor, the whole 9 yards. Actually, what's going on in this moment? Who's the guy? Who are the young kid and the guy? What's going on there?
So they're in the middle of a divorce right now, or it's going to be finalized in the next like month or so. So the dad only comes by on like the weekends for a couple hours to see the kids or to pick up the kids and take them somewhere. So he's picking up the kids for the weekend.
Well, that just became a killer image.
Yeah, it's even more.
Backstory. I mean, it's a great picture, but that backstory. I mean, this really. And would you know when they separated or when this happened?
Yeah, 2 years ago they separated, but the divorce still isn't final yet. It's being finalized in the next, like I said, like month or so.
But this also speaks to the pressure on families, that are forced to live together or whatever, or this type of thing. Like, obviously, he's not wearing a mask either. But that moment, that's so powerful now. I mean, it was
you distill this image down with your basic cut line and caption, just referring to what you just said.
Yep.
And if you can get just a snippet of her or him or the kid saying what it's like to go between these two lives, just that, just a sentence from the kid or from a parent, and have that in your caption, and you'll have that reaction that Stephen and Michael just had every time someone visits this picture. That's how important the words are to this. And you may have it. I haven't looked at your caption, but that's where these words, and we take it for granted, and it's just important. It's beyond important. It is absolutely needed.
It's really important that we explore relationships too during this last 4 years, whatever, and how, and whether they're strengthened or weakened or whatever. So that X pictures, I love this too, but the 2 pictures is a diptych. Yeah. So is there more to that story, or is that
to the family or the fire stuff?
The family.
The family.
What's the
yeah.
situation? How did you wind up at that house? What was the assignment?
Well, I was there for an assignment with the Bee about online learning. The first image I actually took was the one with her and her daughter sitting on the porch. That's like my _001 image that I took of them for an assignment at the Bee. And then I just followed them for my capstone class, or for one of my assignments in my capstone class. I just went back and spent like a lot of time with them. So I have a bunch of stuff and like sort of an edit that I submitted for class, but I would love feedback on that story.
That would be a great edit to have somebody here look at and talk to and bounce around.
It might be that everybody maybe there's something, a broad edit from everybody that becomes into one big essay. But I think that's an extremely powerful photograph, Ollie. And to think that you didn't even expect that when you went to the assignment, it's just, wow. I mean, it's just, imagine looking at this 30 years from now. I mean, as Jack pointed out, I mean, there's so many little details, and the unfinished mantle over there, the takeout boxes, as he said, the iPad on the floor, the laundry, it just says so much about chaos and just the stress of everyday living there. So
And
that picture is going to age well. It's a really important picture. It really
And-
is. It's really
the relationship of the dad and the son there. I mean, my gosh, like, Daddy, don't go, or Daddy, I'm so glad to see you. I'm not sure which, but it certainly is compelling.
Yeah, and the world's upside down for this kid anyway. And then, and then one of his protectors is leaving. This is a time when you want to be with, your parents, and it just, imagine that poor kid. I'm sure he's a great dad and she's a great mom. I'm not making that judgment, but just, it really, we need each other,
And can we go to the closet picture?
Yeah, what's
the story here?
She was just playing. She spends a lot of time by herself because her two brothers are really close. So that leaves Lily a lot to just kind of fend for herself. So yeah, she was just playing in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the kids you can build on again. It's the family and, relationships and how we need each other. And yet, these forces we can't control pull us apart. So that's very powerful.
Well, I venture to say in 30 years or maybe less, you may not ever see a plastic cup like those Starbucks cups. You may not see the food containers. And those are the little things we have to keep an eye on and listen to in our heads as we're shooting pictures. Like, oh, that's just trash. I'm going to try to crop that out. I mean, little things like that aren't going to be around, and things are going to change in the world, and having this stuff to be so readily available to the viewer to see this in one, like Stephen said, a Norman Rockwell type image.
That was Michael.
That was Michael.
Yeah.
There's more to this than you just think.
Yeah. It's yeah.
All right. Terrific.
Well done.
Thank you for the feedback, everybody.
And like you said, let's get these other pieces of the puzzle together and throw them in, submit them up, and let's put that in your to-do list and get a hold of somebody on this little band of do-gooders here, and let's start talking about it.
Yeah, would anybody be like, does it interest anybody to help me edit this down? Like out the rip?
I'm sure.
Anytime.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, guys.
There's no one here right now who would say no. So put it
That's
that
true.
way. They're all going to say yes.
That's the point of our being here, is to help you guys out. So even you folks who never say a word, I can read the terror in your eyes. To ask, that's what we're here for. I mean, I hear occasionally from people, and it's good, and I try to help the best I can. So feel free to reach out to any of us. That's what we're here for,
Oh, wow. I just found something I did not know was possible. I have a tool. Look at that. I'm going to go crazy now with the pen. All right. I'll stop doing that.
How do you erase it?
I don't know. I didn't go that far.
It's like a Sharpie. You can't. You're gonna have to paint the wall now.
This is Arden's work, so she'll forgive me.
I Command Z.
What?
And try Command Z.
No, I didn't do it. That's all right. I'll bet it goes away when I do this. Let's see. Oh, no, it didn't. It's everywhere.
It's on your screen. It's not on Photo Mechanic. It's on your screen.
What the heck did I do? No, it's right there. I don't know what I did. I'm going to hit clear. Clear all drawings. I figured it out.
There you go.
I can't get rid of it, though.
So, Jack, what's Arden's situation right now? Is she a staff photographer in Lexington? Is that right?
Hey, Arden, what's going on?
It's a great question. No, I'm not a staff photographer in Lexington. There's a little bit of drama there. Yeah.
Well, you
No,
should be.
I kind of agree with you on that, but no, I'm still based in Lexington, but I'm freelancing as best I can. I'm actively looking at jobs and stuff like that, but at the moment, this is where we're at. So, and then this is just kind of a set, like Allie's, like this is just kind of what I've shot this year. I'm not a great editor either, so just kind of like threw stuff together, some of my favorites, some stuff that I think has been seen here before, but not all of it. So, and enjoy, I guess.
So I talked to a class the other day, and everybody out of the 20 people that showed work, every one of them had 4 excuses of why the work wasn't that good, and before even seeing the work. And everybody's like, oh, I'm like, just come to it. It's all good. We'll look through it. And the idea, everyone was saying the same thing. I don't know how to edit. I'm my worst editor, and we all know that. We all are our worst editors, and that's where the benefit of doing something like this or presenting your work, submit it and then reach out to people. Don't be shy. Reach out to people and ask for some feedback and look at ways of, okay, I have this collection of images. It may not be a story. It may not be an essay. How do I make it a story? How do I make this an essay? What do I need to do? Get different eyes on it, get different viewpoints. And you've already seen how, just in what we've talked about tonight, different ideas of presentation, of how to go back and accomplish something a little bit better. Just ideas are starting to pop up. And that's just from conversation.
One thing I noticed when I was putting this together, and I kind of acted on it, but not super hard, was I noticed that the color pink was really prominent throughout my year, which is kind of an odd color to like really see in photographs, period. But I was surprised like how many times like came up in small details. And then hands were a really big thing for me too. So.
What was it that we saw the other day that had flags? Oh, it was Michael's work. It was Michael's. We didn't get to see Michael Swenson's work overall, but we saw after our light table the other night. And he had an essay that didn't know what he was going to do with it, but he wanted to follow this one theme, but wasn't quite sure of where the story was or how but he's narrowing it, closing up the gap and finding those things like pink or flag or local yin and yang of politics, and just figuring that out and putting your work together and just keep looking at it and having other people look at it. They may come up with those ideas and offer some suggestions.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to anything, like literally anything. Kind of in a rut right now, so I'll take some inspiration where I can get it.
Well, just personally, a picture like this, I know exactly where that is. And this is something that you could do. I mean, this is for me personally, because I know where this is, kind of a climate story. You could hinge an entire climate story around the shack on the river and go in and find past photographs, people who've owned that building. I know there's been like 6 people that have owned this building, and why they've left it because of the river rising. The threat of floods wasn't there 20 years ago, but it is now. There's so much you could do with an image. Just because you have this at this very moment, you could continue on with that story from a very simple image, if that makes any sense.
No, definitely. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm sure the Cynthiana Museum has a lot of backdated photos. It'd be kind of an interesting edit if I could find them.
Or the people that own that. I know a guy who owned that is named Little Bill. And he already, the story sounds wonderful because of Little Bill.
No kidding.
But, that's what the task is. And even a picture like this, how's the post office going to be, what's it look like after the election? Will there be things happening? What is this one post office? Why is it being, the focal point of protesting? Why here?
Nice.
Yeah, that's nice too. I was gonna do something tonight since it was close to the holidays. I was gonna have everybody come in with the holiday spirit. And I was gonna be the Grinch. I was gonna say, oh, I'll be the Grinch. I'm gonna be the guy that comes after everybody and just like, oh, look at that. You could have cropped it a little different. But you know, you all shoot so well, and the technique, the basics, the composition, you have all that. You're looking for the moments, and you can start nitpicking yourself. You all see it. You don't need somebody like me sitting back and saying, wow, it'd be great to have that separation between that woman walking and that and cleaning up. But we've talked about this, and you've had a picture probably from this protest, maybe it was the post office, where it worked because it wasn't clean, because it was dirty, because you have the birds flying like that. That's the whole package right there. I think the pictures that really stand out are the ones where you have people and the moments and the sense of space. Those are the ones that are strong images of the year. I mean,
I love that shot.
Yeah, I also really love the shot.
And that has a person in it.
Yeah.
The hand. I mean, the hand.
Yeah,
wash your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Use Clorox wipes. Without that hand, not as interesting of an image.
Mm-hmm. I love this picture. There's just something about it. It's brilliant.
How many times do we say, well, get higher, get low on your subject, find that angle? Sometimes just being there, shooting it, it's simple, not complex, tells a story. Great job.
Mm.
I think this picture might have been a little bit, I'll do the Grinch on you. It might have been a little bit more, this is where you do take the chance, shoot it, boom, then drop down to your knees or drop the camera down and start, sneaking in on that dog a little bit. And, you might have done that. Play with your angles.
Always.
Nice.
Great job. Now, this should be Arvin, right? Arvin's here.
Hey, yep.
What's going on, Arvin?
Hi.
Now, are most of these shot down south in Georgia, or are these all over?
So the first 5 or 6 photos are from Mississippi. And this was kind of the second documentary project that I tried to work on at the beginning of this year.
What is this one? This one, I saw this come in and I was, whoa, this is pretty interesting.
So this is a group of Vietnamese Buddhist monks in kind of rural Mississippi. And I had found out about them a few years ago when I lived in California, and was able to kind of go out there since I live in Atlanta now.
This is,
Whoa,
you had
my
me
God.
at Mississippi monks. That was the thing that will just grab anybody. If you're looking for a headline to get somebody to jump and click into a gallery, 2 words and I'm already there. And then you follow up with these images. Wow.
Yeah, I'm, I basically got some great feedback when I went to the NPPA meeting at the beginning of this year and was super excited to go back, and then pandemic. So I haven't been able to go back yet.
So you are going to get back there?
That's my plan. Yeah, I want to continue this project. And I've got a ton of images, but I only spent maybe 5 or 6 days there, and I want to get closer, find a character and stuff like that.
And when did you shoot those, Ari?
It was in January this year.
Oh, so they're good for our 2020 opening. That's the kind of thing. Yeah, that's what we need for to open. Molly, are you there? We still have Molly. Well,
Yeah, I'm here.
so we have something from January.
I was thinking, yeah, this is such a beautiful image right there with steam and normal life, something celebratory and pre-pandemic. I've been really, really looking
Yeah,
for.
meditating at the Costco, but it was pretty good too. You don't get to do that anymore. So
Just using the Wi-Fi.
is that
And
what?
oh yeah, it's an iPad. I don't know, maybe it's a grocery list or something.
Oh, okay. Well, still, it's a great shot. It's just it's an amazing shot.
That'd be a super cool story to follow once you can have access again as well.
Yeah.
So that's actually a Sam's Club, isn't it? That's not a Costco, right?
It's a Costco.
It is a Costco?
Yeah.
Don't you
Oh.
see the Kirkland labels over there?
No, I didn't. I was looking at the pricing labels, and I've not seen pricing labels like that.
Well, the great thing is if you do get access, hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, I guess the wrong word, but I'm sure there'll be some social distancing, maybe there'll be some masks, maybe, but you'll have the before and after of going into the pandemic. And man, if you can get a hold of that and get access and get back there, I think that's where your win on this one is, because you have the beginning and the middle and the end.
This is nice in that pre-COVID segment. You know, it's just life going on as usual, people getting together, blah blah blah. So this is good. Anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have that opportunity to bring that all together in one series of photographs. So,
And then the rest of these images are just random things from throughout the year.
what month is this?
This is actually the election, right after the election, celebrating in Atlanta.
Those were the Georgians that wouldn't get sick.
Nobody's wearing masks in that picture. That's crazy.
Nor here either.
There's one mask back there, but not much. Timely then. That's so important. I mean, this picture is great, but the moment between that and that, I mean, that's spontaneity. That's just, it's a nice image. I mean, look at the dog, the dogs, but this, it's strong, but that image right there is your kind of life happens moment.
It's a Shih Tzu meetup.
When did you take this? Is this during COVID?
That was Memorial Day weekend.
Wow. That's pretty nice. Who's that photographer over there to the left? Is that no, that's not Bazemore. Who's that? I just love looking at the faces in these pictures that, they're not jumping out at you, but if a viewer just really digs in there, you can start to look at people. The guy with the sunglasses, and you suddenly see the police surrounding his vehicle, and you have one guy with a mask down there to the left, where the between the man with the cell phone. I mean, it's sort of like one of those 1,000 piece puzzles, and you start looking for it. And then very subtly the signs, the Black Lives Matter signs. So it's a very subtle image. You know what's going on, but then you just want to jump in there and look around. And the umbrellas, of course, that's I don't realize if you know how important that picture is going to be to describe what's going on right now with the two factions. That's great. I love the body language. Nice. I think these were early on, right?
Yeah.
This was Juneteenth, those two portraits. And then this was like in October or September, maybe. And then I just wanted to end. This was this was during the pandemic. He's got the mask, but I wanted to end with something a little bit happy. And this is a guy that I've been following, a turtle researcher. And I'm now that I'm seeing how this Zoom call is unfolding, it's a story that I want to talk about, trying to figure out how to expand on this story.
So if that's the one thing we can take away from tonight, is that I hope this illustrates how these, I mean, especially with Alex's work showing that she went there for the bee to do this one story on e-learning and how that story could unfold, how the turtle researcher could unfold. Everything that you all do is packed and ready to just jump off into another essay or another segment of what can be done. And that's, I mean, you're never going to be assigned something that's the ultimate story. It's you finding it. You're going to flesh it out. Any other words?
Yeah, I think it's a great set of images. I really want to know what it's like to hang out with Buddhist monks in Mississippi. Can you talk to them? Do they speak English?
Some of them do, some of them don't. A lot of them are here on religious visas. So I kind of communicated with the ones who did speak English. And this was my very first trip to photograph them. And I think it was awkward for everybody in some sense. I think I wanted to respect them because they're so private. They're such private people. And I think, moving forward in this story, I'd like to try to find somebody who's just open to me getting closer.
Yeah, if you find an ambassador that in that group that you can really talk to and ask a lot of questions of, because it's Buddhism is this beautiful existence, and I'm sure that they're seeking something that all humans on the planet are seeking. It's really interesting to me, especially that they watch Robin Williams movies as well. But I love the idea of that story.
I think the important thing to go back on when you're going to follow up on this, and I hope you do, the Mississippi aspect is key. It's if you can somehow tie in Mississippi and show Mississippi and show that sense of place, that would be great. And the other thing I have to offer is they're humble people, they're shy, we're all that way. Every subject you go into, and at the first glance, no one's going to offer themselves up like, hey, I'm fine with this. This is great. I think they may be more accessible than you think. And it's just being, polite and honest with what your intentions are. But I think, especially, bring some nice pictures back the next time you show something like this to show the fun and that too. And that might open up a bunch of doors for you.
Well, you did a hell of a job cracking it open, I must say. These are really, really terrific.
Thank you.
How prevalent are these temples and places? Wow, I'm just like searching here, like did a Google search. The 10 best Buddhist temples in South Haven, Mississippi. I mean, that's an item. I'm surprised there's one temple there that they would have the 10 best. And this is kind of, wow, why Mississippi?
Yeah, showing Mississippi, the people, the interaction, if you can get that, and that's time, and that's being able to, time and opportunity to be with them, you'll be able to see that beyond the temple. And that's key. Man. South Haven, that's Memphis, right? Just over the bridge.
Oh yeah, right next to Memphis. The Costco's actually in Memphis, so that's their closest Costco.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback, you guys. And also, I just seeing everybody else's work is like super informative and educational. So thanks everybody.
Oh yeah.
Nice work.
So up next. Now, is Bryce on tonight?
Yeah, I'm here.
So Bryce is new to our group. I mean, you've been involved with us for about what, a month?
Yeah, I went to I think a meeting last month. But yeah, I've only submitted like 2 things, but I have like a bunch of things in the back catalog that I need to submit.
There you go. So you're getting with the program. You see what the idea of jumping in, and hopefully tonight, seeing the past work and some of this work over the year will spur you on and spur others on too, and get us going. Where's all this?
This was in Shelby Township, which is like a suburb of Detroit. And so like Detroit Will Breathe, which is the like Black Lives Matter organization in Detroit, usually doesn't face a lot of resistance from police, like from the like Metro Police of Detroit. But the police chief of that suburb had actually like on his personal Twitter account tweeted some things about like responding to Black Lives Matter protesters with violence and stuff. And he actually got suspended from his job earlier in the summer. And that basically was like their response to taking a street during the protest, was to just respond with like a very kind of overwhelming violence to just kind of people marching and taking up a street for a couple minutes. And then the rest of this was just kind of like, I really am kind of a politics nerd. So I just kind of went to stuff like every weekend, this like leading up to the election, and just kind of like explored political events in Michigan.
Well, the strong stuff is here because, you know, it's just timely and you're seeing it in a way that just, it's great with the composition. But being in the right place at the right time and following, you know, where the news is happening. What's going on? I didn't get to read the caption on these. What was going on with the garden?
Yeah, so since a lot of these aren't the ones that like they're getting ready to be submitted, a lot of them don't have the caption on them yet, but when they get submitted, they will. But this was for a story I actually did for Kent's class that was about a family who bought a farm for basically they wanted to prepare for the ecological collapse of the environment, and they found out that like living in the center of Michigan is like a place that will be not as affected by ecological collapse. And so they like wanted to make this a like climate refuge for their family. And then coronavirus hit, and now they're like living there because they can't return to, they have like a home in France or something. And so it's just like them trying to build this place where they want to live for the next 20 years. And well, they've been in they've been in the area since buying it over the summer. They were growing all this food and donating it to the local
Food
food
banks and
program
things.
or something like food bank, yeah. And this was like at very end of the year in the fall, so like this was their last couple harvests that they were donating. So it was really cool to like get the access to them.
Are you going to continue with this, or do you have more of this?
I have not. It's very they're like leaving their son to like build it and take care of it, and I guess they're trying to return back to France. He like works, the guy in the orange hat works for the labor board for the UN, or I can't remember exactly what it was called, but so he like works in Geneva. So it's I'm definitely going to get back with them in maybe a year to just like see where they're at, but maybe not in the time being, because I don't think they're actually in the country at the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if they were still here, I mean, that's a pretty packed story with almost like prepping, getting ready, but man, that'd be something to follow. There's going to be more news going through the rest of the year, more protests, more of this, even after the inauguration. It's going to be very interesting. And the closeness, without showing, I mean, the legs tell you what's happening, but by juxtapositioning these guys and what's going on behind, you don't have to see everything perfectly. Those legs tell me everything right there. It's a nice picture. I mean, that's much more visually pleasing, interesting, composition-wise. Same picture. That's just a much stronger image. That's my opinion. Wow, good. Now you're going to CMU, right?
Yeah.
Was it tough this year getting out on assignments? Or are you worried about the COVID? Are you Are you still working? Is that something you guys are thinking about as students? I've been having
I think there's
discussions.
definitely like something that everybody in our class kind of handled on like an individual basis. I kind of really just been waiting for the moment to like document stuff like this because it doesn't really, politics haven't really been too immediately relevant among a ton of people in Michigan, I guess, like in protest form, I guess, in the last couple of years. So it was kind of a little hard for me to like latch onto things and get out to things. But like with so many things going on in Michigan lately, it's just been like that's what I concentrated mostly on. So I kind of maybe didn't think about COVID as much as I should have, but
Right. Well, I mean, just my opinion. I think you find these stories, you find these nice images like this, and if you're desperate for looking for an idea, I mean, look at this image right here, and you have the group of people standing back there. They live in this house. There was a protest in front of their house. I mean, what's it like to live in Michigan at this point in time and have all this happening? I mean, go back and talk to these people and see where their lives are going. What's going on? That's your foot in the door on some of these too. Same way with the gardeners. I mean, that's what really drew me to this picture. It's like I know there's more to of a story there, and as you were speaking, I'm like, wow, that's a really interesting story. Much like the monks in Mississippi, there's always a little bit more there than what you think. Great work.
Thank you.
Anybody else? This is Matt's work, right?
Yep, that's my work.
So Matt's, this is all pretty much around Cleveland and Ohio, correct?
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's COVID related. There's nobody there, which is seeing this place empty downtown Cleveland is just shocking.
Yeah, so this year has obviously been difficult for everybody, but I do a lot of event photography, editorial photography, and kind of everything's been kind of closed up for me. So I was safe about it, but I kind of just went out and tried to make as many photos as I could safely, just kind of in every aspect. So for the most part, this is chronological in order.
What month is this?
That's around Easter, so that's really early on before the whole masks thing caught on.
Really?
That's kind of early.
Okay. And what about, did you do any, you said you did event photography. Was there any kind of conventions or anything you did somewhere between January and March? Just some sort of straight picture from out of that might be something we could use.
Yeah, I could actually do some of that. I did
Like
some
if
of
you
that.
had like that same street in Cleveland, is it, or Cincinnati, with a bunch of people on it in January, February, some festival, something to contrast that with. That's what we're looking for. So,
Okay.
Or the next time that thing fills up, when is this going to come back to normal? When is that going to fill back up? That might be a nice chance to get back there and do that again.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty nice.
Nice.
I think that at that moment in time, midway, I mean, Easter is when these things really were starting to get serious, but families are still going out and about doing their thing. Just that's a nice feature on its own without COVID, but it's a storytelling image of where we are and what period of the pandemic we were in. I know Molly would love to see this picture. I don't think we've seen this yet, have we?
I think I sent that one. If you go to the couple back, I just wanted to point something out. A couple more. It's the "We Were All Together" sign back before that one. So I just thought this was kind of interesting. Like a muralist kind of made this in Cleveland. I just thought it was kind of an eye-catching mural, and it's really interesting how it kind of started off with COVID in the very beginning of we're all in this together, and we want to attempt to all do this together, and then for so many reasons, mostly political related, like we just turned into a divisive monster and shortly after I made this photo, it just seemed like it went downhill and COVID got much worse. And this photo kind of got lost in the fray. It just, the message got a little mixed after a while. So it's kind of,
is that mural still there?
they took it down. I guess I could do it before and after.
Oh,
Really,
no, I'm just curious if it was still there for some reason.
yeah, they took it down. That's food bank. Yeah.
That was graduation in like in the June or July, right?
Yeah, that was probably in May. That's in Marion, Ohio, in front of the Harding Memorial, and just the red against the white memorial and the blue sky really stood out to me. And these girls were just talking about their graduation stuff, and their mom was taking a couple like pictures with the snapshot camera, and yeah, let me take a photo of them.
It was during the pandemic of were there graduations? Graduations were canceled. Some still had them. Ohio was pretty open with their graduations and kept them going. That's nice. That's just, you may, it's a really subtle picture. You may just walk by this one and just keep going, but it's pretty nice to have in this collection of work because, it's a prison and it's during this time. These are the most at-risk people during this pandemic. It's really nice to have this picture.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for this one, this was for the Plain Dealer, and I went to Marion, Ohio, and this was notable just because this was one of the biggest hotspots in the U.S. for COVID outbreak. So at one point, 2,000 of their inmates had COVID at one time or the other. A bunch of guards had it, and a few people died from it. And this was kind of early on, but yeah, because they're so clustered together that. And then it was also kind of just walking around the prison exterior. I don't know, it's just kind of like unsettling. And there's signs that saying like, keep a certain distance, don't pick up hitchhikers, that kind of deal. But you could see a lot of the guys in the courtyard. Some had masks, some didn't. But yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Did you shoot this with the prison's knowledge, or did you just go out and just stay on public property and shoot?
I was on the public property. They wouldn't let me anywhere near the property.
Wow.
Inside.
Good for you.
The prisons are prioritized in Ohio. They're the healthcare workers, the elderly, and then prisons are that's the first three that are going to get the vaccines.
Hearts at the top is a really nice touch.
Yeah, it's nice.
The hearts.
And this one just kind of like a simple detail shot, but I wish I could have conveyed this a little bit better in another way. So I was going to a wedding in Indiana actually, and I should have taken some pictures there. But there was a ton of Trump signs littered in the front yard of this yard, and it was just a very interesting backdrop with the "I can't breathe" to the Trump signs. Usually it's kind of vice versa, but I actually knocked on the door and talked to the grandfather, who was a big Trump supporter, but he supports what his grandson painted on the side of the barn, which was "I can't breathe," and agreed with the movement. I did take some portraits of the gentleman, the Trump supporter, in front of the barn. They were okay, but I kind of like how this kind of transitions into the next few images.
Yeah.
That's Cleveland. That's kind of our big protest.
There you go.
Boy, put that with that X car and the fire in California. That'd be a nice right there, Like it.
I love that picture right there.
Really nice. Really nice.
I like it more than anything from inside the venue. I love that it's from outside shooting in.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes it, man, really good.
People complaining that you have to be inside to make these pictures, and Man, this is like at the briefing room, everybody doing really creative work through those doors and those windows. And this was just smart.
Really smart. Excellent.
Is that,
We jumped through this. I mean, we talked about this one a while back, and I still love this picture because it's just that one. It's almost like the picture you have during the FSA that just basically shows space, time, where we are in our world, but it just gives you a sense of where and place where you are. It's just so subtle with everything. It's just timely.
That picture is kind of important just because, so that's Tamir Rice's mother, and he was 12 years old, I believe, when he was killed by Cleveland police. It was a huge, national story. And I knew his mother was doing early voting because I was in this area, the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections days, and I was kind of just keeping an eye out for her. But I got kind of lucky. I was actually photographing this truck in a scene, and she kind of illegally parked right behind the truck. And I was told that she was going to come out at some point. So I just kind of struck up a conversation with her, told her who I was, and she gave about 5 minutes of her time to just talk about stuff and let me take a picture. And she was the one that prompted, "Hey, do you want a sticker of Tamir?" And this would have been the first year he would have been able to vote, and would have graduated. So that's a picture for holding her, a picture of Tamir Rice up to the camera.
Great. A lot of times on these, when somebody tries to hand me something, or I make this picture, I know I have it, and there's another picture, usually like of somebody such the situation. That's where I just sort of start, slowly creeping in, and get to the hands and photograph, the picture, but more so make a portrait of the woman through the picture. And so I just, do it subtly, but you have this picture, but then work it. And that's kind of a thing that I try to do. I don't know if that helps any. And that's nice. That's just going to be, timely. I would almost crop out that, being nitpicky, I'd crop out the cone on the right a little bit. But with the masks, the manger scene, I mean, this is great. Perfect.
And I'm just kind of like a astronomy nerd, and I loved that Neowise comet. I really enjoyed shooting that this year.
Yeah. I'm starting to see pictures starting to show back up in the feeds because you sort of forgot about that with everything else that's going on. There's been a lot of great pictures of this. Wow, great. Yeah, the idea of going back and finding people is a terrific idea. Even going back here and talking to the guy after you've spoken to him, see what's going on now. What's back on that barn now? Great.
Nice job here, Matt. Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice work. I really like what Jack said, and I think like everybody should just sort of try to remember that every single image is sort of a portal to a whole story that you can follow, or it will lead you somewhere if you follow it with curiosity.
Absolutely. And it's just a matter of asking. I mean, I think Molly said it, but I think Jeff is the guy who talk about curiosity. There's not a person Jeff doesn't strike a conversation with because he's just genuinely interested in people's lives. He's that caring of a photographer, of a person. Forget being a photographer, but you always look at Jeff's work and go, man, how does he get this access? And it's because he is just a normal person, walks up and like this, he'd be like, why the heck you got a pirate hat on? Oh, well, my kid has a party today. Oh, can I come? I'd love to see that. I mean, that's how simple it can be. Just being yourself, putting yourself out there and having a conversation. Now, let's see here. This is probably Grace Wilson's work, right?
Yes, that's my work.
And is this a year-end group of work here?
Yes, so this is from the past couple months. I did this for class. I go to OU, I'm a sophomore. It's really just about motherhood in the pandemic. I documented 4 moms, 2 of which used to be working moms and had to stay at home so that they could have safe childcare. And the other 2 have always been stay-at-home moms, and it's just about how they adapted to the changes, and kind of like the boundaries between how much they should tell their kids about COVID and how much they should keep from them, so that they don't get all freaked out. But
Are you finding it harder to do 4 people, or would you like to focus on 1? Do you like the idea of being, spread out, telling 4 different people's stories to try to illustrate this? How are you finding it coming together?
I think it's coming together well because the kids are different ages. So, like the oldest kid that I did was 11. I think it'd be cool to do even older, like maybe a mom that has kids in high school, because it's interesting to see the difference between how they treat a 1-year-old and how they treat an 11-year-old in terms of talking about coronavirus and taking them out in public. Obviously, like the babies have weaker immune systems, so it's interesting. Yeah, I think it was cool to document 4 different people. I wish I could have spent more time with each of them, which I think would have been easier with just 1 family, but I think it gave me a broader perspective documenting more than 1.
Where are they all located? Are they down in the Athens area, or are they?
Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, in Dayton. Okay.
Area. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you're onto something here as a story. I mean, it's much like the other things we've spoken about tonight. You've got your foot in the door and you're halfway through the pandemic so far. It'd be great to follow some of this through the next phase if you can.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing, because you've got to start. And where is the end to this? Is there an end to this? I mean, there's still going to be mothers handling the what it takes to be a parent, even after the pandemic. But that might be something that, where is the end of the tunnel for them? Where is the success in all this? How they coped with this? Was it successful, or did they not find it? Most of these kids are probably going to be, I mean, the older kids are going to have trouble with school and, be having to catch up. So yeah, you've got your foot in the door here. If it's not all 4, it could be, pick and choose if you wanted to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you live in Dayton, in that area? And is it a hardship to go back and forth?
Yeah, I live south side of Dayton, so not farther than really 20 minutes from each of their houses. They were just located in different parts of Dayton.
Yeah, that it's there. Spend a little time.
So are you virtually in school?
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore, so I don't have like an apartment or a house in Athens, and we had the option to go back to the dorms in January, but I opted to stay home just to save money. So I'm virtual from Dayton, Ohio. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
What part of Dayton?
Bellbrook.
Oh yeah. Oh,
if you know
yeah.
where that's at. Are you from Dayton?
I grew up in Greenville.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Not too far.
Good. When the restaurants open up, go back down to Thai 9 in the Oregon district and tell them I sent you.
Oh, I will do that.
You'll get a free meal. That's all
So
I have
you're
out
gonna
there.
keep working on this, Grace?
You know what? I don't know. I think it would be awesome to keep working on it. I think with everything getting worse though, and the mothers having young kids, not all of them may be open to me coming back at this time, but I think maybe after Christmas might be a possibility. Yeah, I'd love to keep working on it. Even if I added like another family or something, I think it'd be nice to keep working.
It's a great. It's listen. You've got some wonderful pictures here, it's a really interesting story. A lot of potential. I'm not quite sure where it will go because I'm not a young mother, but this is definitely a really interesting idea, and I love this detail shot. It's spectacular. It says so much. And the one room, was that somebody's school or somebody's? This is wonderful. That's wonderful. That's a great shot too. What's one of the room with
That
all
one.
the toys? What is that? Is that
Oh,
somebody's?
that's their basement. The mom cleans while she has her 2-year-old play downstairs, so she can try to get some work done.
That's a great shot. I mean, that's another one that'll look great 50 years from now that archaeologists or sociologists will look at. Great picture. That room, that set, and you could set up and do a time lapse, not literally a time lapse, but sit there and just stick a camera there all day and see what happens in that room. Remember, just create the stage, and this is a great stage set you've got there, and just wait for moments to happen within the act to change, and more kids, less kids cleaned up, toys being thrown across the room. But that could be a really interesting series of pictures, or not, but it's worth taking a crack at it. But I really like the idea what you're chasing here, and you've got a great start on it. So
See, that's the thing, and I think you've got a great start on this. That's an understatement. And two, here's the thing. I hear that I think that people might not want me to come back. I think that have you asked? That's the good question is, have you actually asked someone? And I would start thinking in your head how you would approach somebody and maybe explain to them how important it is to document this in a way that you're able to show what's happening in their lives. But bear in mind, Christmas is an important aspect to document if this is going to be a complete story, and you have that opportunity to do it with maybe one or two of these families, and your foot's in the door. And I hear some hesitation, but I would be very diplomatic and very cautious, but I would also try to get yourself back in there if you can. I think it's especially for Christmas and New Year's, I think you've already made the introduction and you're in, and I would start talking to some people. I think it would be terrific.
Plus, it's an original idea. I mean, if you think about what happened 50, 60 years ago in the first wave of feminism, it was, housewives and mothers that, wanted change, and it'd be interesting to do this contrast. Well, motherhood, how does that compare to the 1950s or whatever? And just listen, this is a remarkable picture, by the way. So it's a really interesting story, and you spend years working on it, but it's one of the things you sort of should own it,
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're there. You do own this.
Yeah. I mean,
okay. So can I be the Grinch?
Go ahead.
All right. So you did this for a class, correct?
Yes, sir.
So no, sirs, please. I'm Michael, fella.
Makes me calm.
So anyway, thank you for the respect, but you don't have to do that. But so you did it for a class, and the class is over now?
Yes, it just ended a couple weeks ago.
Okay. So, and answer truthfully, are you incentivized to want to go back and work on this story more? Or are you waiting for the next class when I'm going to have a new project to work on?
I think it's more of the first one. The tough part is I'm leaving in like a day or two to go to Florida, and I'll be there like for 2 weeks. So I'm going to miss out on the whole Christmas and New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think people are going to be hesitant because I traveled. And so it's kind of like the incentive is there. I just don't know if the opportunity will be there until January.
Okay.
Well,
So if
either
I'm
way-
giving grades, you get the A for the incentive to want to continue to work on the story. And you didn't just do it to fulfill a requirement. So you get extra big kudos from me on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I any time that you can spend with these families, in the future, I think is going to, not just for class, but you're building your portfolio. So you're a sophomore in college and you're going to be looking for internships. And right now this work is pretty solid, but you could really refine it, build it out, and have an amazing story that will carry you to any number of summer internships or job opportunities. Just saying.
Thank you.
Nice
Yeah,
job.
so I love that idea about setting up a remote camera in that playroom and doing time-lapse exposures throughout a day. I think just in terms of a really quick project and a quick day or even a week, you could have an amazing set of pictures from that. And it would also teach you some new thing that you might not have known how to do. Do you know how to set up a remote camera?
I don't. I've never used a remote camera before, actually.
Okay, and do you know how to do time lapse?
I do know how to do the time lapse.
So it's just a little problem solve, and it's just an exercise with yourself. It's an opportunity to spend a little bit more time with this family. You may end up not even using any of that, and you may just have a new way to hang out with them. But it's worth a chance, and it's like one day, and you should do it. Especially even if you're not around at Christmas, after Christmas, I'm sure that the concentration of toys in that room will probably exponentially increase. And, you know, being a parent and having kids and having toys everywhere and stepping on them and in bare feet and all that kind of stuff, you know, like I totally get that mom and I totally get the kid, and there's something really great that's happening in that room. So just explore that. And then, you know, you've got 4 different families, and sometimes when you start to think about that, it becomes overwhelming to think about.
Yeah.
But if you can think of like one little thing, hey, I want to go to that room and I want to do this thing, that just clarifies things for you. And it's all of this documentary work is putting one foot after the next, after the next. I know people that have been photographing the same family for 20 years, and you may find yourself. And actually, there's a student at OU who did it for a project, and he's now spent like 30 years with the same family. And because of that time, and just because of developing and nurturing that relationship with those people, he's fully trusted, and he's a part of that family. And that's the magic of what all this work is about anyway. You know, it's just various permutations of the human condition. And so you should just totally get into that and have fun with your camera and teach yourself some new stuff, you know, and you cannot make a mistake. There's no mistake to be made there. And if they don't want you to come, that's just the way that goes down. But the worst they can tell you is no. So you should read a book called The War of Art too. That'll help you out. It's a really good book. Everybody should read it, but enjoy. But I think that's a great picture. And I think it was Stephen who said that idea. I think that's an amazing idea. And I think it would be beautiful. So you can try it. It might not work out, but those challenges are, you know, the spice of it all. So enjoy.
Thank you.
You're young. Was this the first picture story class you were in?
Yes, but we did one picture story at the end of our single images class last semester. So in the fall of my freshman year.
Well, I wish I would have had a story like this in my first or second class to jump on, and you know, the possibilities are endless with this thing. And I think you have, you know, the story of just following a family is great and having the access is great, but you have a story. You have an idea, you have a concept in your mind that you're going for. So that's helping you out as you enter the door every time you go into one of these people's homes. And that helps you. And you're on it. So yeah, I mean, even if you don't make Christmas and all that, no worries. There's going to be Easter. There's going to be something else coming up. There'll be a celebration and you'll get that. But I think having time and spending time will be great. So if anything, yeah, spend some time. Good job.
Thank you.
So I may make an executive call here. It's 2 hours we've been going, and we have like 8 more people to go, which is great. We had like 18 people submit work for the evening, which is awesome. We have some work from Galen that was in a COVID ward earlier this week. And I'm going to speak for everybody. I want to give this stuff to do in a time as we go forward. So we have it submitted. We can easily do another light table discussion, not 2 weeks from now or not a week from now. We can do it next week before Christmas early, and I'll try to get people together. And it's off, it's off school time, so we might have the ability to get people motivated to take part of this. And I think it would be better served to have more time to look at the work instead of going into 3 or 4 hours of looking at work. Does that make sense? I think a lot of people will get, better bang for the buck. 2 hours of looking at pictures went by really quick tonight, just because we're looking at some really fabulous work. But I think we'll do that so we're not just overwhelmed, if that makes sense. People good with that?
Yeah.
And actually, I think it might call, a lot of people were submitting stuff tonight at the very last minute that I wasn't able to pull down as well. So that might give us a chance to backfill as well.
What about next Tuesday, Jack?
I'm absolutely go for next Tuesday. Let me see something. I'm going to put
It
everybody
can't
on.
be Thursday because that's Christmas Eve and I'm busy loading the sled up.
Raise of hands here. Do you think everybody would be willing to do next Tuesday? There's a few. There's a few. Well, the great thing is that we're it's about a majority. It's like 2/3. We record these too, so we'll have them up online as well, which is great. So, was this helpful? I hope it was. I think it was. That's what we're going to try to do here on out. So, just every time we do one of these, we want to just to reaffirm with people, get your stuff in, submit a lot of work. It doesn't matter if it has to be refined. It doesn't matter if it's 1 image or 10 images. Dump it. Just have it captioned, and we will look at it. And then we'll keep doing these light table discussions where we will sit around the light table and we will look at work. And seeing the process, we had a bunch of people, like 22, 23 people submitted work. That's a lot of people to look at in one night. So we'll break these up a little bit and go at it that way. Sound good? I want to thank everybody for, the mentors jumping in and the editors jumping in, and having Jeff jump in tonight too is fabulous. Jeff's been helping us out and helps me out. He and I are kind of on the Boyd Station side of things, running things down there with Project 30636 and the other things we have going down in Boyd and in Kentucky. And Jeff is, and gosh, he's just a motivator. He keeps, Michael as well. He just pushing us to do things. And it's like, we'll get it done. So it's good to have him here doing the same thing on this project as well. There's Michael, his son, who's our first Frankie grant recipient with Arden. Arden and Michael were there 3 years ago and got this whole ball rolling. And so we're happy to have it going during the pandemic as well, with the help of Stephen and Michael and Charlie and Molly and Kathleen and others. So thanks for being part of this.
Good to see everybody.
All right. Happy holidays. Chat with you all later, and I'll put a link out for next Tuesday night.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Very good. Thanks a lot.